Hello everyone, I am Divya, working for the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Today we will discuss on the topic authentication. In our previous class we have discussed various encryption algorithm using secret key encryption protocols and public key encryption protocols. After that we will move on to the next topic, that is authentication. Okay. So, what do we mean by authentication? Why do we need it? When we are transmitting a data packet or a message from one end to another end, or from one host to another host, it might get intruded by various intruders, and the intruder might change the content of the message, which definitely results in data loss or reading a wrong information. So, in order to avoid all these things, we have already seen various cryptographic methods to avoid all these things, right. The next topic or the continuation of that is authentication. Authentication is used to verify the authenticity of a message. Okay. It can be a message content or the message sender of a message. So, with the help of authentication techniques, we are going to check whether the content of message is not corrupted during the transmission, and the second one is sender of a message, whether the message is being sent by the sender which is intended. Means, is it when a receiver receives that particular message with the help of authentication process or technique, it is going to determine whether that particular message is delivered from a proper sender or by some other intruder. Okay. So, this is about authentication. The message content, the authenticity of message content can be authenticated or can be checked with the help of hash function. Okay, which results in message digest, and sender of a message will be authenticated with the help of digital signature. Okay, the message content can be sent from sender to receiver, and on the receiver end we are going to assure, or we are going to get assured by the receiver with the help of hash function. Okay. And similarly, the authenticity of message sender can be checked with the help of digital signature. Okay. First we will look into this. The hash function is the most commonly used technique for authenticity of message content. Okay. How it is going to be done? When a sender is going to send a message to a receiver, on the sender side, first what it is going to do? It is going to be encrypted, as we have already seen. Here, for authentication, we are going to calculate the hash value. Okay. At the sender side of message, okay, a hash value is calculated using some algorithm. There are plenty of algorithms available for calculation of hash value. Okay. Depending on the content of the message, the hash value is calculated, and that hash value is appended to the end of the message. Okay. The hash value is appended to the end of the message, and then it is transmitted. So, before transmission, a hash value is calculated for each message, okay, and the hash value is appended to the end of that message, and then it is transmitted over network. On the receiver side, receiver again calculates the hash value using the same algorithm with which the sender has calculated the hash value. Okay. So, receiver also calculates the hash value, and then the receiver compares the hash value which it calculates along with the hash value which is sent as part of a message, which is appended to the message, right. If both the hash values are same, then it is a clear indication that the message is not altered during the transmission. If there is any change in the hash value that is being transmitted along with the message and the newly computed hash value at the receiver end, then it is a clear indication that that particular message is being altered during the transmission. So, that particular message will be discarded at the receiver end. So, this is how authenticity of message content will be carried out. Here we have three things. One that can be called as the functionalities of hash function. Okay. We have a message m. When a hash value is implemented on this particular when a hash function is implemented on this particular message m, it becomes h of m, and we call this as message digest. There are 3 points that we need to keep in mind as far as hash functions are concerned. Okay. The very first point is, we have already seen that in case of encryption algorithms, it is reversible, right. We from the sender side, its message is going to be encrypted. When it is delivered to the receiver is going to decrypt the message. So, whatever procedure that is being followed at the sender side is going to be followed in a reverse order at the receiver end, right. That is with respect to encryption, but here our hash function need not be reversible. It is not reversible. Okay. This is the very first point. Okay. Even at the sender side, we are going to make use of some hash function to calculate the hash value, and on receiving it on the receiver side, again receiver is going to make use of same hash function to calculate the hash value on the message content. Okay. Message content will be same, hash function will be same on both the sides, and the procedure followed is also same. So, there is no reverse process followed here in case of hash function. That is the very first thing that we need to keep in mind. And the second point is, if we have a message digest h of m, it is computationally it is not feasible, it is infeasible to find message. So, when I say this, if I have a message digest h of m, okay, and if an intruder get an access to this message digest during the process of transmission from sender to receiver, he will not be able to find message, the actual message. So, the confidentiality of the message is maintained here, isn't it? So, the next point is, I have two message digest h of m1 which is equal to h of m2. Okay. Even at this case, it is computationally infeasible to find m1 which is equal to m2. Okay. Even if you have two message digest, h of m1 is equal to h of m2, computationally it is not feasible to find m1 is equal to m2. That means, for each message, hash function makes use of that message to calculate hash value. So, the value that is going to be, that we are going to get using the hash function on message content is entirely different, it is unique, right. So, these are the three major points which we need to keep in mind as far as hash function is considered. Okay. This is about authentication with respect to message digest, that is the content of the message. We are authenticating the content of the message, okay, so that the receiver will receive the actual message without any abruption or alterations. Okay. And there are two processes or two methods with which this can be implemented. Okay. The first method is, first a hash function is implemented on the message content to produce message digest, and then that particular message digest is encrypted and then transmitted over network, which is reversed back on the receiver end to get the message. Okay. That is the first method. The second method, only hash function is implemented, not the encryption of the particular algorithm. Okay. So, we will find how it is. Okay. Now, we will look into the two different methodologies or the process with which authentication can be done. The very first one is here, as I already told you, a message is sent from a user. Before sending a message from user 1, it is first a hash function is going to be applied on that particular message. Okay. After implementing hash function on the message, algorithm, using some algorithm, it is going to be encrypted here. So, it is going to make use of key here. Okay. An encryption is done on the hashed message, and then we are going to get the message digest here, which is going to be forwarded in the network. On the receiver end, okay, on the receiver end, two things will happen. One is directly a hash value is going to be calculated based on the message content, okay, and it is decrypted also. Okay. Then on both the hash value that is calculated at the receiver end and the hash value that is being appended along with the message, they are calculated. Before this, it is decrypted here. It is encrypted here, which is represented by A. The encrypted message is decrypted here to get the message content which is there at this stage. Okay. Here the hash value which is being appended to the message content is going to be fetched. Okay. Here at the receiver end, newly calculated hash value will also be there. Those two hash values are compared here, and if they both are same, then it gives the message to user 2 saying that the message is not interrupted by any intruder during the transmission. So, this is the first method where we are going to make use of both hash value function as well as the encryption methodology. Here this can make use of either secret key encryption method or public key encryption method. Okay. But in the second case, we are going to make use of only hash function in order to authenticate the message content. Okay. Here there is a clear assumption that both receiver as well as the sender, they are going to make use of secret key, okay, for encryption. So, a message which need to be sent to user 2 from user 1 is hashed, means a hash value is calculated for that particular message, okay, and then the resultant message digest is forwarded, okay, transmitted over network. On the receiver end, it is going to compare the hash value along whatever hash value that is being appended along with the message digest, okay, is fetched here, and a newly calculated value, hash value based on the message content is being computed. Comparing both the hash value, if there is any difference with this value, it is a clear indication that message is being altered during the transmission. If the values are same, then it will be delivered to the user 2 saying that the message content is not altered during the transmission. Okay. So, these are the two variations or methods which we are going to make use of in order to authenticate the message content during the transmission. Okay. There are two most popularly used algorithm under this. They are MD5 hash algorithm and number one another is secure hash algorithm. So, these are the two algorithms which are most popular or most commonly used in order to implement hash functions in order to authenticate the message content. Now, we have seen how message content is being authenticated. So, how to authenticate the sender of a message? Okay? We will see into that. So, message sender is authenticated. That means, when a receiver receives a message, we are going to check whether the message is message that we got is properly sent by the actual sender or is it intruded by someone else. How to authenticate that? That can be authenticated with the help of digital signature. Okay. With the help of digital signature, we are going to authenticate that the sender of the message is authenticated sender. Okay. So, digital signature is almost similar to our signature which we do it on a paper. So, it has to be unique, right. So, it demands more research study while implementing digital signature. It is not so easy. So, implementation of digital signature is not so easy as we think. As we all know, each sender, the authentication of each sender can be identified when it is unique, right. So, the digital signature has to be unique. It is not so easy as we sign on a paper document, right. So, it demands more research, study and implementation. Digital signatures can be implemented with the help of various cryptographic algorithms. There are plenty of cryptographic algorithms which are working in this field. Among them, RSA algorithm, which we have already seen for encryption, is the majorly used algorithm in order to implement digital signature. So, here with the help of RSA algorithm, a message is going to be encrypted using a secret key of a sender, right. So, the entire encrypted message acts as a digital signature for us. So, when a receiver receives the message, it is going to decrypt it with the help of a public key, its public key, right. Since it is a RSA algorithm, it comes under public key encryption protocol. So, at the sender side, the entire message content is going to be encrypted with the help of private key and it is transmitted over the network. On the receiver side, when a receiver receives that particular message, it is going to decrypt with the help of public key. So, here the encrypted message, which we call it as ciphertext, is going to act as digital signature for us. So, we can think that RSA algorithm works both for encryption of the particular message content as well as it also holds good for the authentication of sender, message sender, right. So, this is about the authentication for both message content as well as the message sender, right. So, now moving on to the next topic, that is security of IP and wireless networks. So, the next topic of discussion is security of internet protocol and wireless networks. When we were studying about internet protocols, at that time itself we have come across a topic called IPsec. So, we are going to make use of IPsec protocol in order to provide security for our internet protocol. Okay. Now, we will look how it is going to be implemented. IPsec is a set of protocol that is being developed by IETF, that means Internet Engineers Task Force. Okay. So, IPsec is being developed by Internet Engineers Task Force in order to implement the security related issues in order to address the security related issues in case of computer networks. Okay. It's purely a set of protocols that is being used to implement the security with respect to computer networks. Okay. So, this is the format of a header in case of IPsec. Okay. When a actual data packet is transmitted from sender to receiver, when it is ready to go from sender to receiver, above it there will be lot of layers. So, from application layer it is going to have some information enclosed and then it is sent to the beneath layer and then again few more information will be attached to that and then it is sent to network layer and so on. Okay. So, it contains so many layers above it and it has to go through various procedures, right. So, with respect to IPsec, the header format looks something like this. There are several fields in IPsec, okay, IPsec protocols. The very first field here is security parameter index, which expresses a one-way relationship between the two hosts here, the sender and the receiver. The one-way communication between the relationship between them is expressed within security parameters index. Then we have a sequence number, which is it can be an integer which continuously increases, okay, which is used to indicate the packet number, so that when the receiver receives at the receiver end, it is going to decide if when a duplication of same packet is received at the receiver end, receiver is going to check the sequence number, and with the help of which the duplicated copies are going to be discarded. So, sequence number is maintained for that. Then we have a payload data, which is the data that is being sent to network layer from its layers above the network layer. Then we have a padding which is used to adjust the length of the message, okay. In order to encrypt, depending upon the encryption algorithm, that length of the message need to be adjusted. For that, padding is used. Pad length specifies the number of bytes that is being padded to the message, and then the next header specifies the format of the next header which is being attached, okay. And then the authentication data, which is of variable in size, variable size in length, okay. So, this portion is the actual encrypted data, okay. From security parameter index up to next header, this is used for authentication, okay. This portion is encrypted, and this from here to here, it is used for authentication, okay. This is how the IPsec header looks like. So, IPsec provides us an enhanced security for our data packet. IPsec encrypts the data that it gets in two modes. One is transport mode, and another one is channel mode. In case of tunnel mode, both the data as well as the header are encrypted. Here, both the data as well as the header are encrypted, whereas in case of transport mode, only the data, the message content is going to be encrypted. So, IPsec is going to provide the more robust and powerful security for our data packet which is transmitting over a network, okay. After looking into this, we will move on to the next topic, that is security with respect to wireless networks. As we all know, in case of wireless networks, we do not have wired connection between our different hosts, right. So, with this architecture method, or with this methodology of implementing connection between hosts, it is more vulnerable for security attacks, okay. So, in order to overcome this problem, various security implementations is being introduced. Among them, one among them is on IEEE 802.11a and b, we call that as WEP, which is called as wired equivalent privacy. So, how exactly it works? The very first point is a host sends a request to a base station for authentication, okay. First, what it says? It sends a request for authentication, sends request for authentication, okay. Then the base station responds for that request, okay. After receiving the response from the base station, the host encrypts the data, host encrypts data and transmits it, okay, transmits it to the base station. So, the message reaches base station. At the base station, what will happen? Base station decrypts message and compare, okay. So, initially a host sends a request for authentication to the base station. It sends a request to the base station requesting for an authentication, okay. So, the base station responds to the request of the host by sending an authentication details. using those details, host is going to encrypt the data, and encrypted data is transmitted over network. Here encryption is performed with the help of secret key encryption protocol. Okay, and the transmitted data reaches the base station. Upon receiving the message, the base station is going to decrypt that message. Since it is already having an authentication details with it, it is going to decrypt that message, okay, and then it compares the message that it has along with the message which it has received. Okay, it compares those two things. When they both are same, it is a clear indication that there is no interruption happened during the transition of particular message from a sender to receiver. Very simple and straightforward working. Okay. So, this is how our wireless network, wireless equivalent privacy works with respect to wireless networks. So, here looking at this diagram, it is very simple and straightforward. A key is going to be generated. Okay. Consider that a text is of length, some length. So, it is divided into several segments. Okay. So, let I be the ith segment. If I is the is some random number, and number of key is going to be generated using the key sequence generation. Here it is going to take key as well as initialization field that is used per frame as an input, and various keys are generated here from K1 to Kn. Okay, that is encrypted with the help of exclusive OR operation on our message. Okay, this is the equation that is being used to encrypt. So, Ci is equal to Mi exclusive OR Ki, where Ki is the ith index of key, and Mi is the ith index of message M. Okay. So, it is encrypted and the resultant is C, that is ciphertext, and then it is transmitted over network. On the receiver end, it is going to be decrypted using the same key, since we are making use of secret key encryption here using this equation. So, we are going to get the message back with the help of this equation, Mi is equal to Ci exclusive OR Ki. So, to conclude or to summarize our wireless, in case of wireless network, first base station is going to intimate that it is present and it is going to provide what are all services that it can provide. It is going to intimate about its services to all other existing hosts there. Upon receiving this confirmation or upon receiving this information from that particular base station, all the hosts which need to send information to those base station or which need to communicate with those base station is going to send its message using encryption algorithm. Okay, encrypted message is being sent to the base station, which is decrypted at the base station. Okay, this is how security is implemented with respect to wireless networks. So, we have studied about security with respect to wired, that is IPsec, and wireless networks, that is WEP, which will holds good for IEEE 802.11a and b. Okay. Now, moving on to the last topic of this particular module, that is firewalls. Firewalls. This is our next topic and last topic of this particular module. As the name itself suggests, the firewall acts as a shield, okay, for our computer system in the network. So, whenever some intruder or some unwanted attack might happen on the network, then firewall acts as a protection shield here. Okay, it protects us from the outside world. That is what firewall means. Firewall can be a software program or it can be a hardware. Okay, it can be a software or hardware. Usually firewalls are placed before the host in the network, or it might be placed between a host and a router, or between a router and the server, or in front of the server. Wherever we actually want to protect the intruder's access, there we are going to place firewalls. Okay, firewall is nothing but a router. We can imagine firewall as a router with some special functionalities. Okay, so this is how firewall looks like. The major functionality of firewall is filtering of packets. Okay, this is the major functionality of firewall. So there might be plenty of systems connected, hosts that are connected to each other in a LAN. A firewall is placed here. Okay, router will be there and internet, and it is connected to the internet through router. So whenever some messages or some packets come from an internet to router, it will not be directly directed to the host. It will be directed to firewall. Firewall is going to perform filtering of packets. It will go through all the packets which reaches firewall, and only if that packet passes this firewall, then it will be transmitted to the respective host. Otherwise, it will be discarded here itself. It is going to filter unwanted or packets from intruders. It is going to have its own mechanism of implementing that filtration process. Okay. So, only the filtered packets are going to pass to the next end. So, this particular portion is totally secured with the help of firewall. So, having an implementation of firewall in computer networks, whether it is in a small scale or whether it is in a large scale computer network, it is very important. It is advisable to have firewall implemented in it. So, as I already told you, it can either be implemented using hardware or with a software. Software means it is a set of programs which is going to be used in order to handle the message that it is going to receive at that particular point, and based on some criteria, that message is going to be checked to check the authenticity of the sender, so that the server, for example, if we place a firewall in front of server, that server is going to be completely shielded by firewall. Whatever request that is going to be placed onto the server has to first pass through the firewall. Only if it passes the check that is being done on the firewall, then that request will be passed to the server, and server responds back to that request. Thereby we protect server from having an access by some intruders, some dangerous elements. Okay. So, this is the main usage of firewall. So, firewall plays a major role in this. Firewall, the implementation of firewall can be done in three things. It's going along with the filtration of packets, it's going to control the data traffic also. Okay, there are three methods with which firewall controls the data traffic. Number one is with the help of filtering packets. So, unwanted packets are going to be discarded there itself. So, only the required important packets are moved further for further transmission. That is one thing. And second one is moving or the firewall filters the packets based on the sender's IP address. Okay, using sender's IP address. So, at the firewall, when a packet is delivered at the firewall, it is going to check the IP address of the sender. If that IP address belongs to the authenticated IP address, means there will be probably there will be a list of senders who are authenticated to have an interaction with the server. In that case, when a message transmits to the reaches the firewall, firewall is going to check the IP address. If that IP address is present in its list of IP address which represents the authenticated sources, then the packet is allowed to move further. Otherwise, the packet is going to be discarded there itself. So, this is the second method with which the data can be controlled with respect to networks as far as firewall is concerned. And the third method is denial of service. We have seen how denial of service works, right? So, when some request for some service is being made, when it reaches the firewall, it can deny based on some criteria. Okay. So, these are the three methods with which firewall controls the data traffic also in case of computer networks. So, in this entire module we have studied about security threats, elements of network security, and then the common security threats that we are facing, and then the methods with which we can do this, that is cryptographic methods. Under cryptographic methods we have studied secret key encryption protocols and public key encryption protocols, and then we have studied about authentication. In as far as authentication is concerned, there are two methods with which we can do it. One is with respect to message content, we are going to do it with message digest with the help of hash function, and when we consider the sender of a message, it is authentication is assured with the help of digital signature. And after that we have studied about security of internet protocol with the help of IPsec protocol, and then security with respect to wireless networks. Under that we have studied about wired equivalent privacy, that is WEP, which is suitable for IEEE 802.11a and b standards, and then after that we have studied about firewalls. Okay, this completes your security with respect to computer networks. So the fourth module is finished here. Next we will meet with our next module, that is module 5. Okay, thank you.